doing a quick recap here of how I was able to make 5R here on March 10th on NQ. So very simple. We have SMT. If you don't know what SMT is, SMT means one asset takes out a low or high while the other one does not. Okay, it basically creates a divergence between two assets, and that's how you can trade off of it. After you see SMT, you then wait for an entry model, whatever your entry model is. I'll go over mine here very briefly. Okay, so on this day, here's what the trade looked like. All right, we can also go in the higher time frame if you guys want. So you can see we are bullish. Okay, we took our previous day high. Structure wise, we're looking bullish here. So that's why I was looking for longs here towards the next high, which also equates perfectly to lens session high. And whenever I see stuff like this acts like trendline liquidity to me, because everything above is fully mitigated. So as long as we can fail this supply zone here, we're good to run through everything above here. So basically I was waiting for my setup here. Again, open was around 9:30 here, and you can see how choppy open was, right? So you don't want to be trading when the range is this small. Like, you don't want to be ideally taking an entry here. You want to wait until we can get some sort of expansion or take out some sort of liquidity. Whether that's in your direction or against your direction doesn't matter too much. As long as we break out expansion and get a nice range, you can trade both sides. So since I'm bullish here, my daily bias indicator is also pointing bullish. Top right. I was waiting for my entry model. So I did get my entry model here. You can see, if you want an indicator, the link is down below, but you can see it says IFVG there. That's my entry model. I entered on the candle closure above that IFVG label. Again, my indicator will auto mark this for you guys when it gives you the signal. You can also add alerts to the indicator as well, so you can get alerts when an entry model appears. So you can see, boom, it turns into IFVG instead of just a box. So I'll show you guys once again. Boom, this is IFVG. So I took that entry and I had an aggressive stop loss because there's no OB at the time. If there was an OB here, I could cover the OB, but there's no OB created at the time, at the moment, right? So there's nothing there I could see, but different types of targets you can go for. You can go for a conservative target, 1.49 here. You can go for this next internal high. You can go for this next high if you think we can get it, maybe a mitigation cycle like this. But, you know, since this is near open, pretty confident we have enough volatility. We can just get this in one go. Also, we have this SMT here. Like I said, if we take out liquidity or have some sort of manipulation, it gives the market a lot more fuel and energy to deliver quicker. And so it does not need to take out this high, for example, do more liquidity or manipulation and then go. So we have so many confidences in our direction here. I can confidently hold towards the next high. So that's where I TP'd there for 5RR on this day. And let's see, there's nothing else you could have targeted. I would never look this far left personally. I'll just target the next high here. Like I said, just because this is also not a too long of a trade. 30 minutes, about my average, to be honest. My average when you trade is about 30-ish minutes. You don't want to be holding trades for several hours is kind of the gist of where I'm going at with this. You know, looking at the time, this is 30 minutes before Killzone closes. I don't want to be holding my trade forever or risk going back to break even. 5RR is plenty of RR. Don't get greedy, and that's how I live to trade another day. All right, so going to the next day, I believe I took this as a loss. I forgot to label this on my chart. But essentially, this is one of those situations where I want to talk to you guys about where it's just probabilities playing out and there's not much you can do with the model. All right, so I believe we took out this low here. That's what I was looking at. And I was looking for a, let's see what's going on here in the market. So we were technically bearish here because, look, we failed to take out this high and we took out this low. So we were technically bearish here. I was looking for a counter trend trade towards this 5-minute supply. So there's the 5-minute right there. That was the 5-minute supply I was looking at. There was, let me see, there might have been a POC. That's why price reacted off of it. So there's a POC here. I don't even know if it hit this, to be honest. Let me see. That's a POC. Stands for point of control. If you don't know how to label it, I do teach it in the course on how to identify POCs properly, because there's two different ways of identifying them. I don't trade order flow, so I'm not talking about order flow POC. I'm talking about POCs based on candle structure. So that's a POC. I don't remember if it got hit there or not. It did not. Yeah, so it missed the POC anyway. But this is the point where I have my entry model, I took my trade, and unfortunately, stuff happens. You know, it is what it is, and there's not much you can do about it because my target here was very close to getting hit. I think ES might have hit the target, creating a SMT with ES. But essentially, you can see how, like, there's no really reason for us to reverse here aside from this high here, but I don't even like this high here as a reversal point. I prefer we just mitigate a PY instead of staying at this high, because this high is not a big move. Yes, it did come out to 50%, so you can consider this external structure at this point as a liquidity sweep, but in my opinion, when it gets this close, I kind of want to prefer us to hitting a POY instead. And I think this was a trade where I just set and forget. I don't think I moved to break even on this day. So we'll consider this a loss here. And yeah, it just dumped against me. I knew it was a counter trend at the end of the day, but you could even consider me getting a little bit greedy. But this is where I would TP, for example, in my backtesting for a counter trend trade. So, it is what it is. As long as you stick to your system and rules and you know your system's consistently positive EV over a long period of time, that's all that matters. But yeah, you can go once see. Believe later throughout the day. What time was this? This was 12 o'clock. Yeah, so this is also late in the day. So can't really expect a big move. You can see later in the day we just completely chopped. Now let's go on to the next session, which was ADA session, same day. Okay, and I took a winner by being patient. Okay, people that are not patient, you probably will be forcing trades. Some people, I hope none of y'all are trading this. If you're trading this, you are a maniac. All right. But you can clearly see we are clearly bearish at this point. Daily bias is pointing bearish. I mean, structure-wise, we failed to target this high. And how do we confirm this? Well, we took out the low that tried taking out this high, which failed. We took out this low. We took out this low. I mean, we're clearly bearish here on the right. So I'm following the trend on the right here, and we have this massive gap here. And gaps love to get filled quickly. So I was waiting for essentially, I believe, a stop under setup here. Let me see. This was a few days ago. Let's see. Yeah, I was waiting for a stop under setup here. This was the high. All right. Internal sweep right there. That was a high, because why is this the high? Bullish candle, right? Made it low. It's also a high here, right? But I usually look for the first high or first prevalent high, which is this high. And basically I have my limit order there. And then my stop loss was covering this high in case we do wick this high a little bit. Again, you got to be careful. There's not much you can do in terms of like covering that. You don't know how much further past the high it will go, but we do have this high here already taken out internally. So I was okay with covering a little bit of this high just in case. Again, if you really want to be very confident, you could have taken a 5R, but I didn't mind the 3.93, basically 4R here. Entered there, and we had a massive dump. I think went way past, let's see. Yeah, it went more than almost double basically my original target, which is okay. You win some, you lose some, or not win some, lose some, but you catch some, you don't catch everything, right? It is what it is. That's how the market moves based on probabilities. Now, in terms of targets, what I could have done better maybe is targeting the gap here. So sometimes you want to switch time frames to see what makes the most realistic sense. Because when you have a big gap, yes, you want to target the gap, but keep in mind, I'm taking a stop hunter and I'm taking a setup that is very high up in the legs. For example, if I took the short all the way up here, I can easily hold for the full gap TP. But since I'm selling lower, buying even lower, it's more risky just because price can come back, mitigate this, and then go lower off of 1 hour supply, right? Those 1 hour traders are probably looking for price to reverse back to this 1 hour supply or PY and then go lower. So that would stop me out on the 1 minute. Again, keep in mind, understand time relativity of time frames. This is the 1 minute chart. All right, we have 1 minute stop losses. So at TP there, and there's not much else to go over on this setup here. What you could have done here, if you want more confirmation, is once we take out this internal high, you can take a confirmation trade. There's IFVG here. Go back in replay mode. It should show it. Let's see if it does. Might have to change some settings in the indicator here to show that IFVG. But essentially, there was an IFVG there. Oh, yep. You can see indicator does mark it right there. Let me zoom in. IFVG. Again, if you think the text is too small, always change it in the settings here. Let's see, if you go to IFVG, text size, okay, if we just make it normal. Personally, I leave it to small. I don't want it too distracting on my screen. You can see this is what it looks like with the big. Again, sure looks nice, but I don't need it to really say that for me. I know when candles usually close below or above, so you can visualize it. But anyway, this is how you would enter the trade if you wanted more confirmation, and you could have got almost basically a 4-hour trade as well. So let me just undo everything just to show you guys where I entered initially. But anyway, roughly the same risk reward. and we ultimately, I think, went for this 1 hour. Is that what I marked out before? Yeah, we went for the 1 hour. So if you really wanted to be risky here, and let's say you were already up a lot of profit on day, and you don't mind, risking the 1 hour, maybe even break even. You could go break even here, to be honest, at that point, and see if you can catch the whole expansion towards the 1 hour supply or 1 hour demand, which would have got hit, the 1 hour gap, and actually would have almost stopped you out break even. It mitigated the origin here, very very close, man. So this is why I usually prefer TPing, at the next internal low, and then looking for another setup because, for example, if you hold all the way, you're either risking a break even or a 9R. But what you can do instead is look for a counter and trade this, what's it called? Counter and trade towards maybe some supply zone, maybe 3R. So let's say 4 plus 3 is 7. And then you can take another trade here. I don't see, we have to see what entry model there is here, but let's say, for example, you just took something randomly. I don't know. Whatever entry model you want to use, like if you add up the math here, that's 8. We'll give it 7. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. This is 15 risk reward. So instead of catching 9, you're almost doubling it, right? So that's kind of how I view the markets. There's definitely more opportunities to make more R if you're taking counter trend trades as well, and then taking your pro trend setup. Depends on how confident you feel in your back testing, but definitely test it. Definitely make sure you have your data before you start counter trending trades. I don't mind you guys counter trending as long as you know what you're doing and you have positive expectancy doing it. So anyway, hopefully y'all enjoyed today's video. If you want to learn more from me, link is down below, and I'll see y'all on the free Discord server. Peace.